Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the RepPath Podcast. Today, guys, we're going to talk about medical sales mentors. All right, guys, and you're going to get the real from me. I am one. If you know me, I'm not going to sit here and be all sunshine and rainbows about anything just because I do it. So I'm going to give you the real scoop on what are the pros and cons of working with a medical sales mentor, and is it worth it? But before we get into that, guys, as always, quick housekeeping. Any questions you have, please submit them into the chat from this moment on, and we'll take a break about halfway through so we can get those questions addressed for the crowd. Number two, guys, we talk about it every week. Please, if you are struggling to get into this industry, stop wasting time. Stop trying to figure it out yourself. I know that frustration, guys. You feel like you're alone on an island. I say this every time, but reach out to me. Go on RepPath.com and join the RepPath Academy. You can learn more about the commonly asked questions. You can get more info on our website at RepPath.com. And as you go down, you can see the companies that we've helped place with. And then most importantly, there's testimonials at the bottom for the previous students. So don't wait anymore, guys. Stop procrastinating. Don't try to figure it out yourself. If you're struggling, reach out to us today. Lastly, guys, if you want to get this podcast or any other recordings of content that we're producing, go on my YouTube channel, the RepPath Academy, and subscribe. It's 100% free. So I don't know if we can put that link up there. Perfect, James. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. So if you can, guys, go on the YouTube, go on the RepPath Academy. You can click the link below and subscribe. You can get all the content that we produce with this and everything else that we're coming out, with in the future. So back to the topic today, and that is medical sales mentor. Okay. So just to start, guys, I am not here to defend medical sales mentors, coaches, whatever you want to call it. Right? I do this for a living. I'm also a recruiter. I also do consulting where I work with companies all around the country on different projects. Okay, so I'm not sitting here saying everyone should go out today and get a medical sales mentor. Most of them cost money. Some of them are reasonable. Some of them aren't so reasonable with their prices. But it's depending on you. $2 could be too much for you. Yeah, everyone, it's different. But at the end of the day, I'm not sitting here saying that everyone should go out and get one. All right, so I want that to be clear. There's some great coaches in this industry, and there's some not so great coaches. So I just want to address that because I don't want this to be a one-sided conversation where, I'm going to be biased towards either recruiters or mentors. I don't care. Okay. I understand that there's good and bad in everything. So we're going to talk about, though, what you should be looking for in a mentor and what positives they can bring, to your medical sales job search. Okay. And you got to realize too, guys, this, it's the whole purpose of mentors is to help you make a more well-informed decision and then get to wherever you want to be in a timely manner. Because the majority of you go through this on your own, and I've been in your shoes, so I know how hard it is. The reason why I started this business was to help save people time. And that's the biggest hurdle, is that it takes a lot of time. When you do it on your own, it takes even that much longer. And the worst thing that can happen is that people that really want to get in this industry, they get frustrated because it's not easy. I mean, the reality is, guys, again, we get 300 to 500 resumes per application, per job posting. We get them within a couple of days. It is so competitive. There's a lot of candidates that they just take a shot, throw a resume out there that really don't belong applying for that job. But there's also a lot that are very good candidates. So what are you doing to stand out? And to try to figure that out on your own, it's definitely possible. God bless you if you could do it. Don't use a coach. Go out tomorrow. Get that job. Congratulations. But a lot struggle with that. And the worst thing I want to see happen, the last thing I want to see happen is someone that really wants this industry but gives up because they're frustrated, because they can't figure it out. And then they wind up doing something they really don't want to do. They take a B2B sales job, which is nothing wrong with that. But if that wasn't your goal, then why take a step back and do something that you don't want to do. Go after your goal and go get it. We're here to help you do that. Okay. So let's keep talking about some of the things to look out for. Okay, when you're actually going out there and you do realize, okay, I think it's time I get a medical sales coach. Right? Number one, guys, everything online I'm always skeptical about. I'm very real with this. You know, I understand when people set up calls with me, they're skeptical too. They see the content that I'm posting, they see the podcast, they see everything. So my goal is to make everyone as comfortable as possible that whenever you're making a decision, number one, I am a real person. You know, I'm not a bot online reaching out to people. I am someone that actually has gone through the same struggles that you have throughout a whole career. I mean, prior to I got into this career, so I understand what you're getting, what you're going through. But I'm real. Okay, so I want to make sure that everyone realizes that I am a real person. I understand the skepticism because I think everything's bullshit online. Every time I get an ad, I think it's fake. Every time I see a posting, I don't believe it's real. So I totally get it, guys. But some of the things you want to look out for, because there's so many coaches in this industry, and I'm not saying that, you know, pinpointing certain people. But you got to look out for certain things. Number one, how long have they been in this industry? Okay, and that was one of the keys for me. I always said I don't want to be a glorified travel agent. And then nothing against travel agents, but I know many that we used to work with. If we were going on a trip to Bermuda or Colombia or Italy, wherever you're going, they could tell you all about Italy. They could tell you all about Colombia. Then you ask them what was the favorite place they visited. Oh, I've actually never been there myself. I just know from booking trips, you know, from hundreds of people over the years that they like this, that, and the other thing. It's like, okay, that's fine, you know. But I really want to be with talk to someone that has actually been there, that has gone through this, and that's why I created RepPath. Is that I didn't do this based on other people's knowledge, and then or based on my conversations with experienced people. I've been doing this for almost 25 years. You know, I've been in every industry from pharma to device, capital equipment, diagnostics. You know, I've worked in distribution. I've consulted for everything that you could imagine out there, working with big pharma, big device, small, you know, startup, everything you can imagine. You know, and most importantly, I've been doing this again almost 25 years. So a lot of coaches out there, I see them. They've been doing this 3, 4, 5 years. Not to say that you can't get some good information, but can you really get a career of knowledge in 4 or 5 years? You know, I question that. I don't think that you can. I would say I know you can't. It's impossible. Because I've had deals that I worked on were almost 3 years long. So I learned, it took me 3 years to learn a lot of aspects of the capital sales cycle. It takes a long time, guys. It's not just one or two little, you know, stories that I could talk about here. Again, I've had a lifetime of it. So individuals that are doing this for only a couple of years, you got to raise an eyebrow to that and really question them on their background. You know, number two, were they just in pharma? Were they just in device? You know, that's a big difference, guys. If someone's going to coach you on a career path and they've only been doing something a couple of years, they've only been in, say, device, or they've only been in pharma, how can they possibly coach you about another industry that they've never been in? How can they tell you that, yes, device is for you because of X, Y, and Z, or pharma is for you because of X, Y, and Z? They don't know about the other industry. You can't go by what other people tell you. You have to live it yourself. You have to know exactly what the person's going through if you're going to coach them to do that. And I see too many coaches out there that they've only been in one industry, or they've only been in one position. They've only been a sales rep. Nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of career sales reps that have done very well. But if you're going to coach someone, how are you going to coach them on what a hiring manager is thinking? How are you going to coach them to get to that next level if they haven't been there? I've been in all these positions. I've been a regional sales manager, national sales director, owner. I've done all those roles. So I know the struggles. I know sometimes to say, maybe you don't want to go to that next step. Maybe where you are is a better place. It's not always about just getting that next title, guys. And you learn that when you've been in those titles. But if someone hasn't been there, how can they tell you what to do? You've got to be weary of that, guys. You know, and then you got to also look at, who else has gone to that through that academy. You got to speak to the people that have actually gone through that. Don't go by bullshit reports online. Guys, I'm not a Yelp person. Nothing against Yelp. I've always hated it since the day that came out. That people could be pissed off having a bad day, give someone a 1-star review. I mean, we got this in our restaurant. We have one of the best overall reviews. We're a 4.9 on everything. On Yelp, on every platform, every third-party ordering platform, the Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, all that. But there's always that one or two out there that they give you a 1-star, 2 stars, and there's no validity to why. Or they're just having a bad day, or maybe it was an off day for the restaurant, and they gave them an off meal. But talk to the people first. That's why I always hated that kind of, to me, it's pathetic. If you really care so much about that restaurant or that business, and you want to see them improve, call the owner, call the manager, bring them aside. Be like, listen, this was very subpar. I thought this tasted terrible. You could tell them whatever you want, but say it to their face and let them correct it, because most owners, most managers will apologize, either give you a free meal, give you another order, have you come in and get a gift certificate so the next one's on them. They're going to do things to try to make up for it, but a lot of people don't care about that. They just want to bash them online and tear them apart, where they can do it behind a closed door and not go face to face. I'm not all about that. And the reason why I say that is don't listen to anyone that gets a negative review online. And I'm defending a lot of the coaches out there for this, because you could see that. Speak to people directly. Look at the people that have actually had success too, not only the ones that are just bashing them online. Because I don't take that, I take it with a grain of salt when I see that. You want to speak to the people that have actually gone through this. Have a one-on-one conversation with them. And you're going to see a different story than some quick little stupid-ass review online. Because I know I've gone to a lot of restaurants or done a lot of things that have gotten poor reviews or subpar reviews, or gone to places that have been great reviews. And I didn't agree. So speak to people that have done it, guys, because that's how you're going to get the truth. You want to make sure you're doing that. And then again, do your due diligence. There's many coaches out there. The RepPath Academy is not the only service. Do your due diligence. Find out about all the other programs that are out there, and then compare it. I'm confident that when you do, I'm fine with everyone doing that. That Coke Pepsi challenge. That comparison. I know we're going to come out on top, because I know what we provide. I know where we're priced. I know everything is an advantage. I know my skill set. I know my team's skill set. So, and I know the results that we have to prove it. But make sure you're doing your due diligence. Don't even take it just for me. You want to do your homework. Okay. So let's talk about what does a true mentor actually provide. And I already started talking about this, guys. It saves time. It's that simple. A good mentor. All these things are good mentors, not just any mentor. A good mentor. They're supposed to save you time. If it normally takes, sometimes it could take up to for a year, 18 months to break into this industry. A mentor is supposed to minimize as much as possible that time for you to break in. Now, does that mean a mentor should get you in 3 weeks? No. I mean, obviously, this takes time, guys, and mentors can't create opportunities out there. They can't say, oh, here's 50 more opportunities in some obscure place in middle America. No, the opportunities still have to be there, but their whole point is to make you not waste time in a lot of misdirections that get you frustrated and not get you to your goal, or just delay your goal. Because every month you're not in, guys, that's money that's out of your pocket. That's not a sales technique. That's real. Some of you guys are making 40, 50 a year, and you could break in making 100,000 all in. Each month is costing you $4,000 or $5,000 out of your pocket. So a lot of you, I know, you go, I want to wait. I want to see what happens. And then 3-6 months go down the line, because I see it, guys. I see a lot of you guys still struggling. It's just what you're taking out of your pocket. So don't delay. If you know you have a problem, it's okay to move forward. Don't look at coaches as I'm struggling. I'm struggling, I'm failing, so I need someone to help me. That's not it. If you look at every great athlete, every great businessman, everyone out there, I practice what I preach too. I'll say it right online. My coach was Amy Miller. Amy Miller is an amazing, amazing life coach. She helped me about 4 years ago and has been a close friend and still a mentor to me ever since. She is a great individual. So if anybody reach out to Amy, she can help you. So I don't sit here and not practice what I preach, guys. Everyone has had a coach. Michael Jordan has had a coach. Steve Jobs, he had a coach. Even Tony Robbins has coaches around him. And he's a life coach. He's the most famous one on the planet. Everyone has it. So don't be embarrassed saying, I failed. It's not that. It's what can I do to get to where I need to be? I need help. That's okay to admit that. And that's what a good coach does. So don't think that you're failing by doing that. Everyone needs one, guys. Everyone can use one. So first thing that they do is they provide clarity. And that's what brings me back to talking about someone that has only been in pharma, only been in device. The first thing I hear from reps is, I want to get into medical sales. Okay, great. Which industry? Which section of the industry? Which sector? I don't care. Pharma, device, doesn't matter to me, diagnostics. And guys, now a good coach should figure out what path you want to go on. They should be able to fully explain the differences and that's why having that experience is so important, because anyone can look shit up online. You want to go to a coach because they provide the information that can't be Googled. You can't find it on ChatGPT. And that's what makes us stand out, guys. You look at a lot of the posts, and I will call any other coach out there, and again, I respect a lot of them, but look at what they're posting. Are they really posting anything insightful? Are they really giving you an edge when you read their post? I try to post things. Sometimes I admit myself, it's not the most, mind-blowing, technique or tip. We're always trying to give real solutions. I want to give reality. Whenever I think of something, that's why sometimes I'll just pop it in and post something, because it's a thought in my mind, or something, a challenge that my candidates are having, or a challenge that I know I went through, or a lot of people are going through, or if we have solutions that are working in our course, we want to share it. But really look at what they're posting and what content they're providing. Are they really bringing, giving you information that's truly helpful, that can help you get to that next level? Or is it just bullshit on there that's just get a lot of clicks? It's a nice thing to make people feel good, and that's what you got to pay attention to, guys, because you want the people, again, that can give you that clarity, that have been there, that can help you choose, first and foremost, which lane am I going? Am I going to go to the pharma route or the device route? Or should I go to distribution? Should I go to diagnostics? You got to have a well-rounded individual that has been down all these lanes to help you get that clarity and direction to put you in the right position. And this is along the same token, industry insight. You want someone that is working with companies, working with hiring managers all around the country. That's why the recruiting end of our business is so strong for our RepPath members, because we work with all the best recruiters in the country. We are a recruiting firm too. That doesn't mean when you sign up for RepPath, we have jobs waiting for you. I mean, nobody is that good. Okay, if they do tell you that, and that's another thing to look out for, by the way, anybody that promises you a job in a certain time period, if they say, I guarantee you're going to get a job in X amount of months, X amount of days, I guarantee it, they're full of shit. Straight up. They're lying. Okay, they're saying what you want to hear, so you sign that. Be weary of that. Okay, if they'll sign something that says you get 100% of your money back if you don't get a job in this, then yeah, make sure they sign all that, and then you guys, go join that program. I'm telling you, that's a lie, guys. Nobody can guarantee that. One of the reasons why I don't guarantee that, because I'm not in control of what you do, and that's one of the most important things that a good coach should be telling you. Just like a personal trainer. Personal trainer is not going to guarantee anyone that I guarantee you're going to lose 50 pounds in 6 months. They're going to put in there if you do exactly what I tell you to do. And I will guarantee that. If you do exactly what we say, then yes. But the problem is people don't always do what you say. And I understand life gets in the way. Different things come up. You give the commitment that you originally agreed to. I understand that. But at the end of the day, that's why no one should be making that guarantee. If they're doing it just to get you into their program. Remember that, guys. Or at the end, have them sign something that says that and you get your full refund. You're going to see things are going to change, guys. They're never going to do that. Also, you have to be wary. One last thing, and then we'll keep going on what the mentors actually provide. Be wary when they say they promise you a job, and at the end they give you a 1099 role. Okay, I could give that to anyone right now. If anybody wants to sign up with RepPath today, I will guarantee you a 1099 role today, if that's what you really want. But to me, that's not what everyone's looking for. And don't get me wrong, if someone wants that, God bless. Because there's a lot of great roles out there. But we're here talking about salaried, real opportunities, not something that they can do on their own, right now. So be wary. When they say guarantee you an offer at a certain time, ask them straight up, is that a 1099 role or is that a W-2? Because they're saying, well, if you don't get a W-2, then we can get you a 1099. Guys, you can do that for yourself tomorrow. A lot of these companies, again, that are 1099, if you eat what you kill, so they don't care. They'll hire 50 reps today. They don't have to pay you a salary. They don't have to pay your benefits. Nothing. You're not an employee. You're an independent contractor. So they can hire hundreds of people a day. It doesn't mean anything because they're only paying them a commission. And I am a big advocate of 1099. I'm just not going to tell people that I'm going to get them a job, and it's a 1099. So be on the lookout for that and ask those questions when you're doing your due diligence. But back to what they bring. Obviously interview prep, LinkedIn optimization. One of the things, resume optimization. A lot of you guys, let's start with LinkedIn. A lot of you guys don't utilize LinkedIn like you should. And I look at a lot of the coaches and I see how they're using LinkedIn. They don't use it how they should. And we teach that. It's such an important tool that's going to help you get to that next level. And our members, they're doing things that no one else is doing. And they're getting networking and using that as a major networking tool, not just calling people up and asking them about jobs. It doesn't do shit, guys. There's thousands of reps doing that every day, and you bore the shit out of these reps. They don't want to help people a lot of times because you're not bringing any value there. But we're going to show you how to network and bring value. We're going to show you how to improve your LinkedIn profile, where it's getting noticed by hiring managers. How are you prepping for these interviews? What are things doing that you should be doing before you even step in the room? And that's a big part. We talk about the pre-interview process and what you should be doing, and also most important, just as important, post-interview. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay. But we're going to cover all that. And good coaches do that. They're going to work on all these things because I'm telling you guys, when you see the transformation, when people first walk into a program and they think, I'm fine on my own, I can do it, and then you see how far they get in only a couple of months. It's night and day. Remember, we do this for a living. This is what we focus on, so we're going to get really good at it. I was not good at this at first. I was a dumpster fire on interviews at first. I said everything wrong. I think I took a course on what you shouldn't say, and I said it in every interview because I seemed to screw up every interview. But the more I did, the better I got. And you guys are going to get better too. But do you want to keep waiting to learn after 20, 30, 40, 50 interviews when you could speak to someone, they can tell you exactly where you're off, and then 2 or 3 interviews down the line, you're already starting to get to that next level, that 30 or 40 interviews it would have taken you. And that's what a good coach brings. Next thing I want to talk about is the difference between mentorship and free advice. A lot of you guys reach out. Everyone asks the same question. Joe, and I get hundreds of these messages a day. Joe, I'm looking to break into the industry. Do you have any tips? Guys, if it was that simple, then I would literally look to trademark whatever those couple of tips are, you know, get patents for it, whatever the hell you have to do, and sell it for $100,000 a tip. And I'd be a billionaire. It doesn't work that way. There isn't a couple of like little tips here and there. That is nothing next to mentorship. If you're looking for free tips, guys, go on ChatGPT, go on Google, type in medical sales tips. What should I be doing in the interview process? Let me know how far that gets you. Okay? Because I'm sure all you guys are doing it anyway. But that doesn't work. It's not about getting one or two tips. I give those out all day long on LinkedIn. I give out everything on LinkedIn. But if you want real structure, you want a strategy, you want a process, you want to be held accountable. We hold people accountable. It's just like a personal trainer. You don't want to come into our classes if you didn't do the homework. You don't want to come to the classes because don't complain to me if you're not happy with where you're at, if you're not putting the work in. But we're going to hold you accountable. There's no tip online that's going to do that. It's always a process. I need to know what's going on with you personally. I need more of your story. What has been happening? Where have you been applying? What has been your approach? That's the only way I can really give you a structure. Getting free advice, guys. Don't waste your time reaching out to people just saying, can I get some quick tips? Google it. You're going to get something similar because if I don't know anything about your background, what kind of magical tip do you want me to give you? I need to know how you're struggling. I need to know how you interview. I need to see your resume. Look at your LinkedIn profile. There's always dozens of different errors on all of these things. That a couple of two or three tips. It's not going to get you anywhere, guys. So if you really want this, you get a mentor because of strategy and process and accountability, not just free tips. Free tips are only going to get you so far. So when do you get a mentor? And guys, that's really up to you. But for me, it's once you start hitting that is when you ask yourself the question, am I doing this right? That could be 2 days into your job search, guys. It could be 2 years into the job search. But when you say to yourself, am I doing this right? That's when you get a mentor. You could wait. Some people say, you know what? Try it on your own. Do it for 6 months on your own. You can do that. Why not? Wait 6 months. Why not wait 2 years? Give it your best shot on your own. But if you're saying to yourself, am I doing this right? That's the worst thing you could do to move forward. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to go in this direction. I'm going to go in that direction. Why would you do that? That's like going down a highway with your eyes closed. You don't know where you're going. You're not going to ask someone, should I be going straight? Should I be going right? Should I be going left? Which way is north? Which way is south? You're going to ask people for directions. If you're lost, you don't stop. Back in the day, before navigation, everybody would always stop at a gas station. You go to the nearest gas station. I know I sound old as shit. I know James is probably laughing right now, but you used to go to a gas station. Maybe you have a Hagstra map in your car. You don't know what the hell you're looking at. You stop at a gas station. Go, I have to get back to Route 25 or whatever the hell it is. The gas station, oh no, make 2 lefts, go down a mile, make a right, and then they tell you what to do. But you're not going to sit here. I know some guys are stubborn. They don't want to ask for directions. But the average person who goes, I need help, tell me how to get where I'm going, and you ask for direction. Why would you do it any differently? If your career is on the line, the absolute most important thing next to your family and health is on the line, and you're going to just wing it and just go, hey, well, I spoke to a couple of reps online. They told me this is great. That's really your game plan. If you say to yourself, am I doing this right? That's when you find and reach out to a mentor, guys. It's going to save you so much time, so much aggravation. Don't be short-sighted and look at the cost and then go, yeah, I can't afford that right now. It's a weak excuse, guys. I don't know many college kids I work with that have gotten jobs at Uber that they made enough money to pay for these courses in a couple of weeks because they just want to make it happen. The ones that want to make it happen don't make those excuses. Because at the end of the day, you're only spiting yourself. You don't want to pay for it. I get it. You don't have to. But then 6 months go down the line and you're really upset that you get into this industry because you don't know what the next step is. So make sure you're not procrastinating and think things are just going to change on its own, guys. You got to go out there and make it happen. We talked about the reasons, talked about some of the red flags. Last, guys, a couple closing points before we start answering some questions. Just, you want to make sure that, I want to make it clear too what mentors are. They're not someone that's going to do the work for you, guys. I know that's the case with us. We're not going to do the work for you. We're going to give you all the tools. We're going to give you all the guidance, all the strategy. If you do what we're telling you to do, you're going to be successful. But if you just want it to happen, if you're going to say, Joe, what are the, when will you get me a job? And you're looking for guarantees, don't get a mentor. Don't do this industry. If you want things done for you by someone, guys, this is only the small piece of this, what this industry entails and how hard it is. You're going to be in cases by yourself. You can't call timeout and ask someone to do it for you. They're going to teach you in these companies how to do a job. Then when you're on your own, you gotta put the work in. There's no one that's going to be there to catch you. When you're in these serious situations where patients' lives are on the line, they want individuals that are going to do the work themselves, that are taught themselves. They didn't use a cheat sheet. They didn't have someone else do it for them. So realize that, guys. That's a good mentor isn't going to do it for you. They're going to give you the tools and guidance to get you. And in the same token, they're not going to replace the effort that it takes, discipline. That has to come from you. That's why before we let anyone sign up, I have to make sure you're committed. Excuse me. If you're in this 6, 7, 7, 8, whatever you're saying is, out of scale of 1 to 10, I'm saying, yeah, I'm like a 5, Joe. I'm a 7. I really want this. That's not good enough for me. If you're not a 10, if you don't want this 100%, if this is your goal and you don't have reasons why you really want to break in, then we're not for you. Go work with another coach, and waste their time, because I want the ones that want to do whatever it takes to break in. But they're going to give as much effort as possible to break in. Not people that are looking to do this because they have a friend or a family member or someone else in the industry and they think it'll be cool to get into. You don't want to do that, guys. You don't want to get into any field that way. Make sure you're 100% committed. Okay? That's why you got to do your homework and know what you're getting into. That's why you got to have a mentor that knows the different areas, knows the different avenues to go down. So you're not picking something that you're not really set out or strong enough, or whatever the reasons are. It's not really for you. You got to make sure you're 100% committed, because we're going to commit 100% to you. We need the same in return for success. So just to close, guys, again, medical sales is very competitive. This is only the beginning. You think this is hard? Wait till you get a multi-million-dollar number quota tied to you. And you got to hit that. You got to be in procedures every day where things go wrong. You got to act quickly. You got to work with physicians. Some are not so nice. There's a lot of pressure. There's patients' lives on the line. There's so much pressure, guys. It's not for everyone. But you got to realize that it is very competitive. And you have to be ready to commit to that and do whatever it takes. Again, that's why Michael Jordan had strength coaches. He had obviously Phil Jackson. He didn't play games by himself. He wouldn't say we don't need a coach anymore. We're so good. No, they're not going to win without Phil Jackson. He understood that. He didn't have he wasn't so. Michael Jordan was the best ever, and he was a tough bastard mentally, physically, and all that. But he knew he needed help. He needed his teammates. He needed people to hit the goals that he wanted to hit. Got to think that same way, guys. You need whatever the saying is. It takes a village to take whatever the saying is. I'm going on. But bottom line, you need strength in numbers, guys, to help you get to where you want to be. And that's what we can do. So I'm going to pause right here, James. I'm going to shut up for a second. Any questions from the crowd?
Yeah, we got a couple, Joe. And Tony Robbins is the probably most well-known personal development coach, and his coach was Jim Rohn, who is unbelievable as well. They all have coaches.
That's amazing. I drew a blank on who that was, and
Yeah, it
then
was Jim Rohn. He's one of my favorites to listen to. He's awesome.
do you know? Because I'm gonna look at my notes too for um, Steve Jobs.
No, I don't know Steve Jobs, but Michael Jordan's strength and conditioning coach is Tim Grover, who also coached Kobe Bryant as well.
I do remember that with Jordan.
Great,
It was
great book.
Bill Campbell.
Bill Campbell, wow.
The Steve Jobs coach.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, everybody needs one.
Tim Grover's book, Relentless, is a phenomenal book. Highly recommended.
I actually read that.
Great book. Great book.
Yes, it is a great book.
We got Kevin Gallagher. I've been in surgical sales for 6 years and honestly wish I had a mentor early on. Do you think there's a point where it's too late to find one, or can mentorship help at any stage?
Well, it's definitely not too late. Like we said, it was Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin, everyone at every level, at the top of their game, they still get coaches. But if you're doing well and you're cruising, you're ahead of where you wanted to be in your career, then maybe you don't need a coach. But if you're saying to yourself, I think I'm looking for more, I want more in life. I want to get to that next level. 100% we can help you with that. And that's why I brought up that I wasn't just a sales rep my whole life. I had these other levels of leadership that, I've learned. I learned a lot through the years. I failed a lot throughout the years, but I learned a lot from my mistakes. But I know what it takes to get there. So 100% reach out to me, shoot me a DM, and we could discuss whatever personal challenges you're having. But it's definitely never too late, and you're never at a level. If you're looking for more, then there's always room to grow.
I got Zachary Davis. Not really a question to do with a mentor, but what is usually the next step after a PI assessment if all goes well?
A PI assessment if all goes well. I mean, it depends on whatever that is in the process. So it's similar to the Gallup at Stryker. Many companies use the Gallup. They're doing either a personality assessment. That's basically what he's asking. If anyone's wondering what we're talking about, but they want to see, number one, if any of you guys are taking any of these PI assessments, any of these personality assessments, be real. Don't change answers to give them what they want to hear. Usually that doesn't work well, and they're going to score poorly on these. But they're going to test how coachable you are, how much grit, how you handle certain situations. But you want to stick to your true self, because they're going to ask questions that a lot of them are similar. And if you contradict what you're saying because you're looking for the right answer, then it's not going to go well for you. But the next step after these, if you do well, depends on whatever that next step in the process is. Sometimes they have assessments very early in the process. Usually they do them earlier than later. Typically it comes after 1 or 2 interviews, either with, say, an HR person. Typically the path, guys, just so everyone understands the process. You'll either get interviewed by an HR person or a recruiter. They'll do a screening. Okay? And that's where you'll see a lot of these HR interviews. They're usually 20 to 30 minutes. They're not going to usually spend an hour for those. They have some basic questions. They want to get information about your background. They're just seeing if you're an overall fit to what they're looking for. And then they're going to pass you along to a hiring manager. The hiring manager typically will do an interview with you. If it goes well, excuse me, then they'll do an assessment first. If that goes well, then they'll either do another interview with that same manager and ask different questions. They'll dig a little deeper, or maybe bring in a director or another manager in, a colleague. It depends. Or they might move you straight on to the final round, and you sit in front of a director, a vice president, a CEO, whoever that is, that makes that final decision. It all depends. Some interview process I've worked with, they've done one interview and they make a decision. And some of the other med device companies, I've seen 8 to 10 interviews for one role, guys. So it really depends. But usually, I know it's a long-winded answer, only because it varies. Usually that's not the last step. There should be another step after that evaluation. And a lot of companies, not everyone, sometimes depending on the hiring manager or the organization, some put more emphasis than others on those results. What I mean by that, you can have a stud candidate that checks off every box, crush the interview. They did poorly on the assessment. It doesn't matter. They're X'd out of the next phase of the process. And then you could have companies that go, you know what? I don't care what the assessment says. This individual is so good, we want to move them forward. It really depends, guys. So, but the most important thing is knowing what that process is for that specific company. You want to get that out, early on in the interview process, so you know how to plan accordingly and be successful.
I got Samantha Greco, strong Italian name. How do you know if someone is actually a good mentor versus someone who just likes talking about themselves? Genuine question, because I've had a couple calls that felt very one-sided.
I think that answers your question right there. I mean, if it's talking to someone that's just bragging the whole time, if they're not asking questions about you, your background, so they can see how they can help you, if they're spending the whole time just bragging about themselves and talking about themselves, then that's not a fit. Now, in their defense, they do have to sell their program. Excuse me. So they do have to talk about the program, but they should be seeing first are you a fit. They should be finding out where you're struggling, where do you need help in. I mean, I've had many calls. I had a bunch last week that I outright told the individuals, I don't think you're a fit for the program. A, because of commitment. B, because there's people that have 3 final interviews and it looks like they're going to close any day. I'm not going to just sit here just to make money off someone when I know that they're very close to finding a job. So it really depends. But if someone is bragging, talking about themselves the whole time, I think you have the answer. That's someone that you want to move forward with. They should be making it about you and how they can help you. That's simple. If you get that eerie feeling that this doesn't feel right, it's obviously not the person for
you. Lauren Cifelli. I'm a dental hygienist trying to pivot into dental device sales, and I literally don't know a single person in the industry. How do you even find a mentor when you're starting from absolutely zero?
So, number one, that's what we do. I mean, we do dental too. Just because I've never been a dental sales rep doesn't mean that we don't work with dental companies, that we don't work with dental hiring managers. And the process in dental is almost identical to the process in med device and pharma in terms of the interview process. So we can definitely help with that. If you're struggling to find that, you're probably not going to see, because you're searching for dental sales recruiters. I mean, personally, I think most recruiters, there's not enough dental companies out there. There's not enough to build a strong business without including medical, pharma, diagnostics, all those other specialties. It's just very hard. So I don't know many strictly dental recruiters. I'm sure they're out there and they exist, but that's probably why you're not finding them. But there's many individuals just like myself that have that experience, that know how to navigate through that process to get you to get those positions. So again, shoot me a DM and we can talk about it.
Bree.Natalie, her handle is it better to have a mentor who's in the exact same specialty you want to get in the door, or does it matter that much?
Well, it definitely matters. It's like we talked about earlier, Bree, that you want someone that has gone down that path. You want an individual that has, ideally, that has been, if you're going into device and you're looking for a capital equipment job, capital sales role job, you want someone that has been there. Because The key is to get information that you can't Google or ChatGPT. That's the real info. Those real life experiences you can't duplicate. You just can't. You can't fake it. You know, there's things, there's emotions, there's certain stories or experiences that they have that they can really help guide you, no matter what that field is. But I definitely would always look for someone. If you're looking at someone that just have farm experience and you're looking for a med device job, that's not the person for you. You want the individuals that have that experience.
Tailor-made hustle. What if your mentor gives you advice that contradicts what other people in the industry are telling you?
Well, I mean, it depends on what they're saying. If you had a specific example, I'd have to discuss that. I mean, but I know that's probably not, this isn't the time for that. But if there was a specific example, I could give my opinion. So that's a hard one to say. I will say this. A lot of times, I'm not siding with the mentor just because I'm the mentor. Right? You know that, right? But I'll say this. There's a lot of well-intentioned but misinformed individuals out there. So for instance, I get a lot of people. My mother told me, my friend told me, my aunt told me, and then they tell me whatever it is, and it's like, I'm not going to be rude and say they have no idea what the hell they're talking about, but I am going to be realistic that while they mean well, they're incorrect because of blah blah blah. So I would bring up to that mentor, I am hearing this from all these individuals, and then see what they have to say. And it does depend on their background and how much validity, how well known they are, what are they posting, content that they produce. And do you believe in this person? Is this someone you hired because you believe in what they're teaching? Then I would believe that person in their advice. That's where you got them. So you don't want to get a mentor and then speak to people that really don't know, that are, they're not even in the industry, or they don't do that for a living, and then take their advice. They pick a lane. Either take friends' advice and go with them, or if you're reaching out to someone for professional advice, go with the professional. They should be a professional. You should have done your due diligence. You want to listen to them. It's like, again, it's like a light blows out in their house, and you're asking your cousin what happened with the electric. Instead of calling an electrician to come in, if the electrician is telling you something that your cousin said that's different, I'm going to go with the electrician and listen to that. So they should be a professional. You should have done your due diligence, that you should trust that mentor as opposed to the contradictory advice of family and friends.
Kel's routines. Genuinely curious if women in med sales have a harder time finding mentors because the industry seems very male dominated from what I've seen.
100% not true. It's just simple. It's not true. There's women, there's men, there's people from every race, background. There's more. Repeat the question again, just so I don't answer it correctly.
Genuinely curious if women in med sales have a harder time finding mentors because the industry seems very male dominated from what I've seen.
No, that's just not true. They should never have a hard time finding a mentor. Now, are there more male mentors than female mentors that I know? Yes. That doesn't mean there's not female mentors out there. There's definitely a bunch of them. Great mentors. I mean, again, my mentor, Amy Miller, she also has a medical background. She's a medical recruiter. She knows a lot about the industry. She's a great mentor. If you're looking for a female mentor, she's awesome. But no one's going to not work with a woman or not work with a man, and not that I know of. I mean, not this day and age, it doesn't make any sense for anyone to do that. So I don't know where you got that, but if you're struggling, again, shoot me a message and I can help you
out. Pulse with Drew 99. My first manager was basically my mentor, and I owe my career to that. Do you think your direct manager can actually fill the mentor role, or should it be someone outside your org?
Absolutely. I mean, I've had a lot of great managers that became mentors. You also, guys, you don't need one mentor the rest of your life. You could have many mentors. You know, many, many mentors. And a good manager should be a mentor to you. They should be guiding you in your role. Now, do you expect your manager at XYZ company to be your lifelong mentor for your career? Probably not. You know, I don't know too many that have done that, but I would start by where is that individual? Do you like where they are? Right? It's again, I go back to personal training. I mean, I wasn't a personal trainer, but I worked with many of them, and I've been a gym guy my whole life. If the personal trainer doesn't look like you want to look, if they're really overweight or sloppy, they're daily, you know what they do on the weekends, and it's not what you like to do, you know, and it's not for you. Are you gonna want to get advice from this person that you don't like what the results are? No, you want to speak to mentors that you like where they are in life. You want to be at their level. You respect what they say. You're not jealous of them. You're envious of where they've gotten in life. Those are the people I want to talk to. Those are the people to this day I want to surround myself with. You know, we've all had those friends and family members that are all screwed up. And yes, it breaks my heart and you want to be there for them. But you always want to be around those people that are negative, constantly negative, bringing you down. No, you surround yourself from positive, you know, successful people that you enjoy being with. You know, same with a mentor. That person has to be someone that you want to get to where they're at. Because if they're a mess in their life and then they're going to tell you what to do, I mean, how much weight can you really, you know, put into what they're saying? So whoever that is, if it's a coach, a manager, excuse me, a direct manager, you respect that person. They can give you great info and help you get to that next step. Absolutely. Make them be one of your mentors. And again, you can have multiple.
Matt Caruso. Just Joe, be honest. How much of breaking into med sales comes down to who you know versus what you know? Because I feel it's 90% who you know.
It's a lot of who you know, but the difference is, Matt, a lot of people think, who do I know today? Who do I know right now? If I don't know a lot of people in this industry, I can't be successful. That's bullshit. Okay? You can make relationships and network today. And this is what the top reps do. This is what the top candidates do. This is what we teach. We teach people that have not one relationship in this industry, you know, and to go out there and network, bring value. So by the end of this interview process, you know 100 people. A lot of our reps, when they start with companies, they know the whole team before they start because they've already been networking with them. They've been doing it the right way and showing value. So that's how you could start today and build a huge network. There's so many resources. You could spend LinkedIn the rest of your life just on that alone and build a monster network if you do it the right way. So don't make any excuses that I don't have enough friends or people that I know today in this industry. That's no excuse, guys. Your father or mother doesn't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be the vice president of Pfizer or whatever company. You could start building those relationships today. So we can teach you how to do that if you're looking to do that. Again, reach out, shoot me a DM.
Andrea GTR. What do you actually talk about with a mentor? Like, do you just ask them questions about the job, or is it more structure to it?
Yeah, and obviously it's what is your situation and where do you want to be? That's one of the things that I would talk to with my mentors. Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm struggling. Here's where I want to get to. You need to know where you want to be. You need to know where you want to get to. Because that's the only way a good mentor can help you. It's the only way a good coach can help you. There's got to be a goal. There's got to be an end line here, guys. That they can help you get there. But if you don't know where you want to get to, then they can't help you. You know, because then they're going to just blindly guide you, and that's not going to work for anyone. So most importantly, you need to know where you want to get to and know where you are currently, and they can help you get there. Conversation, again, is going to dictate that. They should be leading that. You know, they should be digging deeper, seeing where you know, what your current strategies are, what your approach. Because it's all about strategy, guys. It's all about implementation. It's all about the process. That's how you get to different levels in your career. It's not about doing the same thing every day and then you're going to just be successful. It's not one or two tips that are going to get you there. It's that process, that strategy, that approach that a good mentor will help you get to. And that's where the question should be focused on. Not just, what do you do during the day? No, it's got to be deeper. I'm struggling here. How would you approach that? I'm not hitting my number. Here's what I'm currently doing. What do you see wrong with that? How can we fix it? They got to dig in deeper. A good mentor digs in deep. And that's why the ones that have the experience are rock stars, because they can say, oh, I've been there myself. Here's what happened to me 20 years ago. Here's what happened to me a couple months ago. And here's how I navigated that. And they help you get there.
I got Rebecca Joanne. Does having a mentor replace the need for something like a formal med sales training program, or do you need both?
No, well, it depends. The clinical, we don't teach the clinical. We're not going to sit here and tell you about the heart and how the heart works and the 4 chambers and the different areas of the left atrium that no, we're not going to teach you that. We're going to teach you the strategy. We're going to teach you how to be a better candidate and also a better sales rep. Because we're going to teach you medical sales strategies. We're going to teach you how to approach your territory. What do you do on day one after you get a job? What do you do in some of these circumstances? I mean, we're gonna help you with all that. But clinical, no, that's not our job. Companies are going to give you the specifics and teach you that after you're hired. That's why a lot of these programs that focus on the clinical, focus on the operating room. Guys, ask them. Ask the companies that are doing the programs that are doing this. Ask them, after this program, am I allowed to skip the clinical training whenever I start with XYZ company? And they should tell you the honest truth, which is no. Companies are going to still train you. If you're a doctor and you want to get a medical sales job, they're not going to say, oh, well, you're a doctor, you know everything. We're not going to train you. We're still going to train you on that clinical. So companies are going to train you on that specific clinical, whatever you need to know. We're here to make you a better candidate and a better sales rep, so you understand, what it takes to be successful in this industry. That's what we're going to teach you.
Ryan Pav. Joe, what's the biggest mistake you see people make when they find a mentor in this space?
They don't know. The biggest mistake, once they find a mentor, they don't put the effort in. I think that's the biggest mistake. They think that a mentor is going to do all the work for them. And they don't put the effort in. And they wait for them to make things happen. It's a bad sign, guys, that you're not going to do well in the interview process because you're not going to do well in this career. You can't wait for people to do things for you. You've got to go out and get it. Again, they're there to help give you the guidance and the approach. They can't do it for you. Again, just like the personal trainer, you got to do it yourself, guys. So the biggest mistake I see is not putting that effort in and thinking that it's just going to happen.
I got one, maybe two more for you, Joe. I got Nomad Brad. Do you think reps who refuse to mentor younger people in this industry are hurting themselves long term, or does that really matter?
Mentors that aren't mentoring younger individuals, I don't know why anybody.
I think he means like reps that are not mentoring younger reps. I think that's.
Oh, like just older reps that aren't helping out.
Do you think reps who refuse to mentor younger people in the industry are hurting themselves long term, or does that really matter?
I mean, that's up to them. That's not me. I mean, I think any good, just kind-hearted person is going to help someone else out that doesn't know as much as them. I think you're not going to find that too often in this industry. There's a lot of good people in this industry. These companies, I mean, they're likable. A lot of reps are likable because they have to be. That's their personality. If they want to get in with doctors, they want to get in with hospitals, got to have a good personality. Got to be willing to help people out. And there's a lot of, people out there that are, I think are low lives that they don't want to help anyone out because they want to hit their number and they view them as a threat that they're competing against. But I think that's going to be few and far between. I think for the most part, if you're thinking of someone, that just stay away from that person. There's going to be 100 other people next to them that are willing to help you out. Most reps, they're good people. They've been through something. They've had success. They're going to teach others. So, again, we're not like that. So if you are finding those people, come to us, and we're definitely not going to do that to you. We're going to help you out.
Last one, Marcus Williams. Joe, for someone transitioning from B2B tech sales into medical device, what should I specifically be looking for in a mentor? Industry knowledge, territory management experience, surgical access? All questions.
Well, the surgical access, no. You definitely want to, and number one is industry experience. Again, what is your goal? If you're looking to get into pharma, find a mentor that has pharma experience and has had success in that industry. If you're looking for someone in med device, find someone that has that experience and knows what it's being successful in that industry. Know what your path is, and then look for those individuals that have had success in that industry, and they'll help you get there. That's the most important thing. It's not specific like OR access, that's a little too granular. They're going to have that experience in med device anyway. So I would, again, look at those individuals that are where you want to be, had that success. Look at their track record. That's why those individuals have been only doing this a few years. Guys, you can't believe what they're saying. I'm sorry. You just can't. They don't have enough experience in this industry to really coach, on a mass scale and be successful. You don't want just cheerleaders out there that rah, that just, tell you everything's great and they're constantly just pumping you up, but they're not giving you any real substance so you could be successful. You need those individuals that have struggled to say, no, don't go in that direction. I've done that. I don't want you to waste your time there. You go in this direction. That's what someone with experience does. They've learned the hard way to save you time. And that's where I would focus.
That's all I got for you today, Joe.
Awesome. Well, thank you, James.
Of course.
Great questions, guys. Thank you for submitting all those. Again, guys, just to close, it's not about everyone needs a mentor. Everyone needs a medical sales mentor. You don't. Everyone doesn't need that to break in the industry. There's a lot of people that maybe have not had them and they've done very well. I think it's very far and few though, because you can always get better. You can always get better. And if you're struggling, and again, the question that if you're asking yourself, am I doing this right? If you are asking that question, that's a simple point where that's a good time to reach out and start looking for mentors, because they can help you guys. Don't be short-sighted with the little bit of money that you got to spend. You got to do that for everything, because you could spite yourself and let 6 months, a year go by when you could have been making that income that you really want. And now it's just thrown away because you passed on it because you wanted to figure it out yourself. Don't be stubborn, guys. Reach out today. We can help you get there. For all you individuals, again, that are lobby members, make sure you submit the code Licata, promo code Licata, Licata. So
got it right.
Got it right again.
You're on a roll, Joe. You're on a roll.
You only got to tell me a couple of times how to spell my last name.
Just a few.
That's it. I'm very smart, man. So, and you always got to bring it up too. You're
once you do it once, you forget how to spell your last name. I got to make sure that you're doing it right every time.
You were definitely that kid that would break people's balls for something they did in like third grade that you bring up 25 years later. You're that.
Oh, absolutely. It's never forgotten.
So anyway, but guys, again, submit the promo code Licata so you can get additional discounts. If not, if I don't talk to you guys, have a great week. We're going to be doing these every Monday and Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So if I don't hear from any of you guys, I'll see you this Wednesday at 3 p.m. Guys, thank you. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.